And good afternoon, everybody. This is Jake Wissink here. Sorry we're starting a couple minutes late. I had to make sure that I had everything taken care of on my end. Can you see my screen? Perfect. Okay.
No.
All right. Now that we've got everything taken care of, thank you all for joining us this morning. I know it's my pleasure to do this webinar with you guys. Thanks for taking time out of your day. I really do appreciate it, to go over some of our products that we have here at Charter School Capital that we currently have out. I know if you have any questions, I know at the end of this webinar we'll be sending out a recap of the slides and then a personalized email, depending on your state, which representative you would be reaching out to. So we'll just kind of jump right in. As an agenda, we'll kind of go over an intro of who we are, the available products, and then some of the resources. I think our marketing team does an amazing job of creating more resources than I'm actually able to look at even in a week. So I know there's a lot on there that I haven't even gotten a chance to take a look at yet. So as an overview, Charter School Capital has been around for just about 11 years. Started in a garage in California with our founders, and then have since moved up to the Portland, Oregon area where we are now centered. We have an office of about 40 to 50 people here in Portland, and then we also have about 10 to 15 remote employees that are all around the United States. And one of the metrics that we like to make sure we take a look at that I thought was really cool after working here at Charter School Capital was the amount of students served. You don't usually get to see the impact of what you do in the larger community, and that's one of the reasons actually why I came to Charter School Capital, was to make sure I had that social impact instead of just working a job. So we also have our facilities financing arm. We have a portfolio of 42 schools that we manage so that the schools have long-term facilities, and then we're able to scale and grow those as needed. And we've been around for over 11 years, putting out $1.8 billion into the marketplace. So I don't usually like to talk about myself at all, so I'm just going to glance quickly over this. I've been around Charter School Capital coming up on 3 years. One of the reasons I came to Charter School Capital, as I said, is one of the main reasons that I think a lot of people need to focus a lot more on education, which I think that's what charter schools do, is they put the kids first and how they learn rather than what the rubric they should be teaching. I know I really wish charter schools were around when I was going to school, because I definitely would have liked to go to some STEAM or STEM schools when I was back in my younger years. So just diving right in. Some of the products that we have available, I know, I'm not sure if we have one of the slides in here, is enrollment marketing. I'll kind of touch on that later, but but I'll touch on that a little bit later. So first of all, we have our facilities arm. What this is going to be is it's going to be 100% long-term finance leases. So what that's going to look like is anywhere from 20 to 35 years, zero out-of-pocket cost to the school. They're going to be triple net leases. So if you guys want to do continued construction or continued growth, we can definitely put that into the phase, into a phased construction path, amortize it over 30 years so that there's no need to come out of pocket, work for millions of dollars in order to build on an addition if you're growing. Or maybe you're doing an expansion, doing ground-up construction. We actually partner with developer partners to make sure that the schools are taken care of. I know a lot of the metrics that we look at, especially the main ones that we're going to look at, is going to be the rent-to-revenue ratio and debt coverage ratio. As far as rent-to-revenue, we see that a lot of schools, they need to make sure that they're at least, if they're not a mature school, at or under 20% of rent-to-revenue, which I'm sure a lot of you know. And then as far as our debt coverage ratio, we usually like to see a 1.2, not necessarily saying they're putting that 0.2 into a savings account, but essentially investing back into the program. So what we do is we try and make sure that we structure the lease so that you know exactly what you're going to be paying on year one as you would in year 20. So there's no surprises that come down or escalators that would take a school by surprise. A lot of what we can do is we do customized solutions of finding out exactly what needs to happen for a school. Say you are in California and you get the rent assistance for the SB 740 money. We can definitely structure our leases so that you can take advantage of that. Or if you're in Texas or the two states that I work in, in Texas, charter schools are in kind of a unique spot where they're actually considered a vendor and not necessarily a nonprofit entity, although most of them are run by nonprofit LLCs. What we can do is we can structure a capital lease to making sure you're getting all the benefits that you can out of your facility. So that is just kind of touching on it lightly. I know I'm just kind of going at a brief overview, but if you do have additional questions, as I said before, there'll be an email coming out with your representative in your state's information, so you can reach out to them and dive into the particulars of each one of your situations. Next would be our working capital program. Depending on what that is, in some states we have a loan product, in other states we have a receivables purchase model. A lot of it is really just going to depend on where you're, in what state you're located. And what that's going to look like is you can access up to 25% of what you would generally get through the state, your state funding model. We can actually accelerate to you in little as 30 days. As you see on here, we have a full service funding of 14 to 30 days. Loans will usually take in the ballpark of 30 days. But for other working capital programs, we can do it in as little as 5 days. For the use of the proceeds, you can do just about anything you can think of. We just want to make sure we have a good understanding and make sure that we're not going to be putting you in a bad position, especially for what you're using the working capital for. So whether we've had schools come to us that they were growing 100 to 200 students and they had some issues in the summer and fall where they needed to hire additional teachers and prep the facilities for the additional kids that were going to be coming in, but the state revenue didn't actually catch up until the fall or the spring of that next year after they started teaching kids. We've also had people that have just been in a tough spot, and then what had happened was there's state deferrals or something else happens, and they just need to make sure that they can pay payroll. So I know working capital has been more of our core program that we started with about 11 years ago. But from this, we've heard a lot of other people talking about additional information that they need. So that brought us to Charter School Energy, which is one of our newer programs. What we're trying to do is, again, figure out what we can do to make sure that if we have the healthy building, which will continue on to the students so that they can continue or focus on the things that are really going to be necessary for them to achieve, and therefore showing that the program that you have or that you're working with really works. So a lot of what we do here is it's going to be like if you can name it, we've probably thought of it, but a lot of what we take a look at is there was actually a Harvard study that came in and that we pulled some of this information from. It's going to be everything from ventilation, air quality, moisture, dust and pests, water quality, safety and security, noise, lighting, and thermal health. All of these are going to be factors that actually play into kids, and especially with their the learning that they do in a classroom. Like a lot of it, I grew up in Eastern Washington, so we have really cold winters and really hot summers. And especially if the AC was out during the summer or the boiler was out during the winter, it made it really miserable, especially in the classroom, and it made it hard to focus on just being able to study. So a lot of what this is going to look like is some of the solutions that we have are upgraded plumbing, HVAC systems or controls. There's LED lighting or smart lighting solutions, I think, with, again, in-system controls. We can look at solar film on windows. We can look at solar on roofs, security and window film. A lot of it just comes down to what do you need to happen at the school in order to make a better learning environment for your kids. And we can definitely take a look at to find out, number one, are we able to do it? And then number two, are we able to fit it in so that it's at least at, say you were paying 10 grand a month on utility bills, and if we were able to cut that down to 5 grand, but then for the cost of the financing, you were still saving or at least at net with a new and improved building. That's really what we're looking to do. So again, we'd love to explore a lot of these situations with you. I know each one's going to be a little bit different for what you're looking for. I know we definitely would love to figure out how we can work with as many schools as possible, because again, it brings it back to the metric that we look at of 1 million students served, and we're trying to make sure that we increase that number every year. So Some of the resources that we currently have in play, I have to admit that I have not looked at all of them, but if you go onto our website and under the resources tab, you can actually filter everything from ebooks, data sheets, infographics, or topics on management, growth, facilities, marketing, or even look at past webinars that we've done on a lot of different topics. So a lot of it just kind of depends on what you're looking for. What we're really trying to do is be able to be a resource for information that you might need, or at least be able to give you contacts of people that you might need to get hold of. You can either search by date or keyword for upcoming events of what's going on. I know we have, I believe, all of the state conferences that we're going to be attending as far as charter schools are up there, and a lot of the other information that I believe it's going to be authorizers conferences and other stuff just to be aware of. Then we also have a partners tab. I believe this is a newer one that we've just gotten up, where these are all the people that we're going to partner with, whether it's state associations, whether it's going to be, I think there's also our partners program, so other vendors that we've partnered with to find out how we can work better with charter schools are going to be on our partners page here. So this is just a good resource to go to and play around. If you are looking for something in particular, if you can't find it, you can always reach out to us in addition to. And then one of the things that we kept hearing is, especially with the transparency around our transactions for our working capital program and finding out exactly where you sit in the process, one of the things that has been developed has been the client portal. What we did this, made sure we developed this for is so you understand exactly where you're at in the funding process. And it also helps because it divides everything out into multiple transactions, so you can see exactly if you had a series of 4 schools that are each trying to do transactions and we needed to collect information for each, you know exactly where each one is standing. So this is actually going to be a screen grab of what you would see. You can see just going from left to right, you'll see kind of the next steps of exactly what we're looking to do. You can click on the name and you'll be able to view more details of exactly what we're looking for. Say if it's the submission of underwriting documents, you have that little tilde you can click on, and then it'll go down to the 15 documents that we need to collect. Then it'll also show you the due date of when we need to do it to make sure we're targeting that funding date, and then the status of it, if there are any reasons behind it, who it's assigned to, whether it's a deliverable on us or on you, and then the action behind it. If you need to, say for the W-9 submission, we usually keep the most up-to-date W-9 that is currently up there. So what you would do is you would click on the W-9, download the form, sign it, and then re-upload it. And then a lot of that is going to be kind of touching everything that we have there. One of the things that I did want to touch on was the enrollment marketing. I believe what we found is, especially since we started this last year with some alpha programs, and we're currently in our beta that we're doing right now with additional schools. But what we've seen is that a lot of schools, especially if we get to the time period of where we're at now, it's going to be a little late into the game to make sure that we're putting our best foot forward in order to make sure that you guys are getting all the students that you need to into the program. What we're a little unique on is going to be we do a pay by performance. Oh, there it is. Here we go. So a pay by performance model, where what we're going to do is help fill the top of the funnel. So what we're going to be doing is bringing more essentially eyeballs to the sites that you're going to be working on, and it's actually headed by Janet Johnson, our Chief Growth Officer here, and Ben Scanlon, who I believe Janet has worked with before, and I know they do a great job. So what we do here is we're going to be filling the top of the funnel to make sure that we're helping you guys reach the capacity of the facilities that you need to be in. So a lot of what that's going to equate to is we'll be able to fill as I keep saying, the top of the funnel, but the schools will need to make sure that they have somebody on point in order to do the local events, take people through open houses, and to make sure that the kids do get registered. And a lot of that, this program is currently, I think, closed submissions for the rest of this year, because we want to make sure that we give everyone enough time to make sure that they are putting their best foot forward. So we can definitely talk about this as an option for the upcoming year. So I think that was everything that I had for you today. If you have any questions in particular, feel free to reach out. I know, as I said before, you'll be getting an email from the specified rep in your area, and then we look forward to working with you in the future. And if you have any additional questions that I didn't answer here, feel free to reach out. So thank you, everybody, for your time today, and I hope you had a great day.